Hi everyone, I'm Marla Miller from marlamiller.com presenting another quick query critique, and this one is 105. I have been posting some testimonials and some feedback about the critiques on my site, and I'm also sharing them uh, just because it's really become very useful for a lot of people, and I'm really my outreach is expanding probably through some of my own effort, but it just takes time, folks. So that's why I'm offering this before I do this query letter. Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'll tell you, this is a process. And after several years, I'm just starting to see some real results with it. So if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneurial author, uh, just appreciate that it takes time to get your stuff out there. Okay, let's read this query letter. Dear literary agent, Evolution Threads of Control is a 90,000 word YA high fantasy novel with a scientific flavor, which can be encapsulated as a coming of age journey set in a modern elf realm. Average, the word bummed him. Superpowers had not changed the one thing he hated. He was still average. Jimmy Ranvaz, a daydreaming teenager from Earth, thinks he has been given a new lease on life when the tree descendant humans from Ulfitron pick him to be their new savior from a returning nemesis. But his training and cranial abilities is rudely interrupted by an attack which also wipes out everyone he knows on the planet, all except Juva Spelding, a powerful native whose determination to save his race is only outstripped by his disdain for Jimmy's powers. Outmatched by the might of their foe, their only hope of saving Ulfitron lies in tracking down a legendary source of knowledge. But within the journey lies a deception so deep it rocks the very beliefs of the Ulfitrons about the previous battle and also questions Jimmy's true origins. With limitless power within his grasp, Jimmy must decide where his priorities lie. The heroism in saving countless people are finally emerging from the shadows of mediocrity he has always been consigned to. The complete manuscript is available upon request. I've attached the first 5 pages for your perusal. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you. Kind regards. Okay, so what do I think of Evolution Threads of Control? Okay, so he says he says it's a YA high fantasy. It could just be that I'm not familiar with high fantasy, but that subgenre of the genre I'm not familiar with. So just make sure that high fantasy is a term that YA high fantasy is a term that's out here. Okay, and let's see what else. In terms of hooking me, the first sentence, the second paragraph actually hooked me much more than the first one did. I think that the first paragraph, and again, you know that we post these so you can see them on the site, but the first paragraph, Evolution Threads of Control, is a 90-word yada yada. You can put that at the end, although I would thump the title in the beginning. Always put your title close to the top, folks, and then bleed it through a couple times. Always do that. Because it allows you and it allows whoever is reading this to hear it and to get it married to the text or not married to the text. But you want to bleed it through, especially if it's a good title. Okay, so I think that the beginning of this could be average. The word bummed him. Superpowers had not changed the one thing he hated. I would put his name. Jimmy Razvan was still average. Boom. Okay, so now we know he's got superpowers, and we know that he has a character trait that he doesn't like. And then perhaps, get into the story, which confused me. So I think that this writer needs to look at which is now the 1, 2, third paragraph. Perhaps it's just sentence structure. He has a phrase from a returning nemesis. I think you can do better than that. Make that sentence clearer. So it sounds to me like what this story is about is an earthling type with superpowers, but who considers himself average, is being asked by you know, a planet, another world where there are elves, I think, um, if he can help them because they're under attack. And the the one person in this elfdom that is kind of in charge doesn't like Jimmy, but he kind of has to work with him because you know his world is in jeopardy. Um, so I think that that's what this story is about. And then Jimmy has a kind of a moral, you know, he reaches the impasse in the road. Do you want to save people or do you want to be ordinary? So I like that. Thematically, I like that. I like that, you know, I like that premise. I like that conflict between what you should do and what you want to do, maybe. So that's cool. I think that's interesting. But I find the story to be um, complicated to understand as it's presented in this query letter. Um, and so I think that this writer needs to, he mentions that this is an elf world up on top, and we never hear about elves again, um, which I think is a mistake. Bleed elves through. And maybe that's where some of my confusion is so he's fighting in an elf world, and he's not an elf, and the nemesis is an elf. So take a look at that. If this is an elf kingdom that he is fighting for, then let's make sure that we, you know, fluff that up a bit. Um, and the in the one, two, three, fourth paragraph, with limitless power within his grasp. Oh no, the one before that. But within the journey lies a deception so deep it rocks the very beliefs of the Alphitrians about the previous battle and also questions Jimmy's true origins, which kind of surprised me because I thought that everyone knew that he was from Earth. So I think there's some confusion here. There are some speed bumps that I thought I was in the story and then I wasn't in the story. What I really like about it is this contrast of having superpowers but feeling ordinary. I think that's terrific. I think YA readers would in particular enjoy that. Um, doing the right thing versus, you know, maybe uh, doing what will be best for your own self-aggrandizement, for lack of a better term. Um, I like that conflict. You know, should I do it for them or should I continue to be this superhuman, superpowered person that I am so that I don't feel so ordinary? I don't know. But I really would encourage this author to focus on what the strength of this is, which is an average kid with supernatural powers who still feels ordinary. And then the conflicts that he meets as he attempts to help out this community that's not Earth, defend against the bad guys. Um, so I hope that this is helpful. It certainly is meant to let this author know that there are speed bumps here, that this non-YA science fiction reader tripped over, several of them, but there's also some strength here, and the reworking of the query and then um, crafting out the narrative arc without giving it anything away um, is what this author has to do to improve this query in my humble. I hope this is helpful. Until the next time, be well.